Have you ever wondered why your partner seems to speak a completely different language? Why sometimes, no matter how hard you try, it feels like you're just not on the same page? What if I told you that the reason behind this isn't just personality or upbringing, but something deeper, something rooted in how our brains are wired? Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of relationships. We're going to explore the hidden reasons why men and women think differently, and how understanding this can transform your relationship. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll discover exactly how these differences can become your greatest strength. Let's dive in. Simon Sinek famously said, "People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it." So let's start with why. Why is it crucial to understand that men and women think differently? Because misunderstanding these differences leads to frustration, arguments, and even breakups. But when we truly understand these differences, when we know why our partner acts or thinks in a certain way, we can build stronger connections and deeper intimacy. You see, relationships aren't about finding someone exactly like us. They're about embracing someone who complements us, someone whose strengths balance our weaknesses. But to do that, we first have to understand how we're wired differently. Let's start by looking at how men and women approach thinking differently. First, communication. Women often communicate to build connection and intimacy. They express their emotions openly because they're wired to seek closeness and emotional bonding through conversation. Men, on the other hand, often communicate for clarity, independence, and status. They tend to be more reserved emotionally and prefer direct, problem-solving approaches. Think about a typical scenario. A woman shares her frustration about work or friendships, not necessarily seeking solutions, but simply wanting empathy and emotional connection. Meanwhile, her partner jumps straight into offering solutions, thinking he's helping, but she feels unheard. He feels confused. "I thought you wanted help." Sound familiar? This happens because they haven't understood their fundamental difference in communication styles. And this misunderstanding can lead to frustration and distance if left unchecked. Now let's unpack exactly how men and women think differently. First, neurological differences. Women's brains tend to integrate both hemispheres more evenly. This gives them an edge in language skills, emotional intelligence, empathy, and social sensitivity. Men typically rely more heavily on their right hemisphere, making them better at spatial awareness tasks like navigation or visualizing objects in space. Second, empathy versus systematizing. Women naturally lean toward empathizing, understanding emotions and relationships deeply. Men often lean towards systematizing, analyzing rules and structures logically. This doesn't mean one is better than the other. Rather, each perspective offers unique value. Third, emotional expression and problem solving. Women generally express emotions openly and intuitively approach problems by considering relational impacts. Men usually adopt logical analysis, focusing on facts over feelings when solving problems. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're planning a vacation together. The woman might focus on experiences that foster connection, romantic dinners, or meaningful conversations. Her partner might prioritize practical logistics like budget planning or itinerary details. Both perspectives matter equally, but without awareness of these differences, misunderstandings arise. Fourth, communication styles. Women often communicate indirectly through hints or emotional cues, while men prefer directness and clarity. Misunderstanding these styles can lead couples into frustrating conflicts where each feels misunderstood or unheard. Let me share a story with you. Imagine Sarah and Mike, a loving couple who constantly argued about household chores. Sarah felt emotionally neglected because Mike rarely acknowledged her efforts around their home. Mike felt confused because he believed he showed love by providing stability through hard work rather than constant verbal reassurance. Sarah interpreted Mike's silence as indifference. Mike saw Sarah's emotional expressions as overwhelming criticism. Each thought the other didn't care enough, but neither was right. When they finally learned about their cognitive differences, their unique ways of expressing love, they realized something powerful. Sarah's emotional expressiveness wasn't criticism. It was her way of seeking connection. And Mike's reserved nature wasn't indifference. It was his way of maintaining calmness and stability during stress. Understanding this changed everything for them, and it can for you too. So what can we actually do about these differences? How can we use them as strengths instead of sources of conflict? Here's the good news. Men's logical thinking combined with women's intuitive insights creates balanced decision-making strategies that neither could achieve alone. Women's emotional intelligence complements men's analytical skills, together creating emotional stability within relationships during stressful situations. But here's the catch. You must first recognize these differences clearly before leveraging them positively. Here's how you do that practically. Communicate openly. Talk honestly about your different emotional needs and communication styles. Value each other's strengths. Appreciate your partner's unique perspective instead of criticizing what seems unfamiliar. Set clear boundaries. Agree on times when you'll talk openly about emotions versus times when direct problem solving is needed. Support and encouragement. Men need respect. Women need love. Recognize each other's core emotional needs openly within conversations regularly. Now, imagine applying this knowledge practically every day. Instead of arguing over misunderstood intentions, you pause and ask yourself why your partner thinks differently from you. Instead of frustration, you feel curiosity, a genuine desire to understand your partner's perspective deeply before responding emotionally yourself. Suddenly, conflicts become opportunities, not threats, to strengthen bonds through mutual understanding rather than resentment or distance building up slowly over time unnoticed until it's too late. By understanding gender-based cognitive differences clearly, you unlock powerful synergy within relationships where combined strengths produce outcomes greater than individual efforts alone. Remember, the most successful couples aren't identical twins. They're complementary partners who appreciate each other's unique perspectives deeply. So here's my challenge for you today. Sit down with your partner tonight and have an open conversation about your cognitive differences honestly, without judgment. Ask questions like, how do you prefer communicating? What makes you feel most loved? How can we leverage our different strengths better? By doing this consistently, you'll build deeper understanding and intimacy within your relationship. Because remember, relationships thrive not despite our differences, but precisely because of them. If today's video resonated with you, please hit subscribe and share this message with someone who needs it most. And tell us below in comments, which difference surprised you most today? How will you apply this insight practically starting now? Until next time, keep growing together. And remember always to start with why. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.